Now is not the time to panic, although a lot of people will be here soon. So this is something you should definitely be paying attention to. With what's going on over in Ukraine right now, we know a lot of different factors can affect us very soon here. And the things you should expect the most, at least here stateside, are going to be things like inflation. We know that this is going to hit the economy very hard, and we know that this is going to make things very expensive. We also know that there's a possibility of cyber attacks. Now, these cyber attacks are likely not going to create an entire countrywide grid down scenario. However, if you're worried about cyber attacks, you have to consider the idea that denial of service situations could occur. You could also consider the idea that certain factors of the infrastructure could go down. Even recently, I had a whole 911 situation occur here in my area where the services were down for that for an entire day. These things could easily happen. We know that we've seen cyber attacks in the past that affected the water supply of certain areas. We also know that there is the Colonial Pipeline attack that we witnessed here last year. So these are things we should definitely be paying attention to now, because we know there's going to be some kind of backlash from Russia based on what the US does in regards to this whole Ukrainian situation. Now, other things to consider, because you need to be on alert right now. This is not a time to panic, but this is a time to be on high alert and understand that everything around you could change very quickly, and that you also have to be able to adapt to those changes in order to stay ahead of this whole situation. Paying attention is important right now, but also working on what it is you've been doing this whole time, aka preparedness, is going to be very pivotal, because we know that these different situations that could all come together as one could create some big problems for us in the sense of the supply chain, the sense of being priced out of the game, and in the sense of actually getting out to see what we need. I was watching videos of people in Ukraine trying to leave the area, and there's traffic jams, all the gas stations are running out of fuel, and everybody waited too long to get out of town before this whole situation occurred. And if your normalcy bias was telling you a month ago that this won't happen and Russia won't invade Ukraine and nothing's going to happen over there, which I saw a lot of in the comments, hopefully this gives you some confirmation as to why you should always at least keep the possibility open for these things to occur. And the people in Ukraine who are still trying to evacuate right now waited until literal rockets and missiles were going off and explosions were happening in their cities before trying to leave. And it should tell you something about how the mentality of people is going to be during any type of SHTF crisis. And we know that the probability of this whole thing escalating to a World War III scenario is very low, but it still exists. So don't sell yourself short and pretend like this couldn't happen. And one of the best ways to avoid some of these situations, if this ever happened to you in your area, is to try to get out of these large metropolitan areas, because we know that honestly that is what's being targeted right now based on what we're seeing over there in Ukraine. You're not going to see a lot of shelling and a lot of money spent on artillery just to hit a bunch of rural areas. They're going to focus on military bases, airports, and obviously most of those places are very close to highly populated areas. So keep those things in mind. And if you're trying to get out of the city and that's something you're looking at trying to do, go to fleethecity.com and check out what they can do for you there, and tell them Magic Prepper sent you. But all I've been trying to do is find solutions for you all to try to better yourselves in the sense of preparedness. And this is one of the solutions that I found might be helpful for you. So just do what you will with it, but at the end of the day, this whole situation could get worse very quick. And the whole thing that we need to pay attention to right now is the fact that people will begin to panic. You're seeing it already happen here in the stock market. You're going to see it happen economically no matter what. And we're going to see it happen physically with people going to grocery stores and buying things out. And it's going to be another round of panic buying, but in a different way than it was the last time. So don't be part of the panic. Understand that we can observe what's happening from a distance, learn from it, and try to take notes on the situation over there, as well as prepare for ourselves to deal with the consequences here. And if our government gets more and more involved, and those consequences start to become more real in the sense of possible cyber attacks and who knows what else could eventually come to fruition based on those actions, these are things that we have to be ready for now. And I wanted to just bring this message to you because a lot of people are scared and there's a lot of fear going on right now. And at the end of the day, the worst possible thing you can do right this second is to panic. Be on high alert, be ready to adapt, and be ready to deal with whatever is thrown at you in the sense of challenges. But don't be afraid, because one thing we still have right this second is information. And that is going to be very key to staying ahead of the problem. But one thing I will caution you on right this second is that because of what's going on over there, there's going to be a lot of so-called misinformation floating around in regards to what's happening. And I do expect to see some clampdowns and some additional censorship in regards to that, and it'll be the justification for people like myself to maybe not be allowed to say certain things here very soon in the future. Keep that in mind. Hopefully this helps you kind of stay a little bit more at peace and have some calm, but at the end of the day, watch what people do, watch their reactions, and that's what you're going to learn the most from.